My stepson told me, "You're not my real dad. Just keep paying." At his college acceptance dinner, my wife nodded. They came home expecting a celebration. Instead, they found a drained $92,000 college fund and divorce papers. Hey Reddit, I spent 12 years being the dad who showed up and paid for everything. So when my stepson told me to just keep paying and my wife backed him up, I said nope, took my money, and walked. But they weren't done with me yet. Before we get to that, let me start from the beginning. I'm Cameron Hayes, 31 years old when this story starts, 43 when it ends. Senior analyst at a corporate finance firm in Baltimore. Made decent money, kept my head down, did my job, met Alicia 12 years ago. She was a pharmaceutical sales rep with a 6-year-old son named David. His biological father Kyle had bailed when the kid was 3. Moved to Arizona, started fresh, stopped sending checks, left them hanging. I wasn't looking to be anyone's hero. But Alicia was drowning financially. David was a quiet kid who liked dinosaurs and video games. We dated 10 months, got married. I moved into their townhouse in Towson, started paying the mortgage because I made more. Covered groceries, utilities, insurance, his medical bills. Showed up for soccer games and parent-teacher conferences. Helped with homework every night. Did everything a father does except get called one for the first 9 years. Then David asked if he could call me dad when he was 9. Said his real dad wasn't there. I was. So for 9 years, I was dad. Until the night of his college acceptance dinner. The envelope was still in my hands when David said it. "You're not my real dad. Just keep paying." We were standing in the private room at Vincenzo's, overlooking the harbor. 42 people watching. Family, friends, teachers from his high school, kids from his lacrosse team. All packed into this room I'd reserved for the night. Cost me over $4,000 total. The envelope held plane tickets. Round trip to Barcelona for him and 2 friends. $1,800. David looked at the envelope, then at me. Didn't reach for it. "I don't need that," he said, loud enough that conversations nearby stopped. I already told Mom I wanted cash. He'd been talking to me like that more lately. Like my job was to fund him, not raise him. Alicia was standing 5 feet away talking to her sister. She heard him, turned and looked at us. I kept my voice level. "We can talk about this later. This is your night." "No, I'm good." He smiled. Not friendly, more like he was enjoying this. "You're not my real dad. Stop trying so hard. Just keep paying like you do." The room went quiet. That specific kind of silence where everyone's pretending not to listen while absolutely listening. I looked at Alicia, waited for her to say something. Tell him to stop, apologize, remind him of the 12 years I'd been there. She walked over, put her hand on David's shoulder, looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before. "He has a point. You need to respect his boundaries." She said it quietly, but everyone could hear. "You're my husband. You're not his father. There's a difference." David smirked. Couple of his lacrosse buddies in the back were grinning. I set the envelope on the table next to his cake. 22 candles, strawberry cream, his name in blue icing. Untouched. Walked through the crowd. People moved out of my way. Nobody spoke. Nobody made eye contact. Got in my Audi, started the engine, backed out while everyone watched through the windows. I drove straight to the bank. Here's what nobody tells you about being a stepfather. You're always one conversation away from being reminded you don't actually belong. You can do everything right for over a decade and still get hit with, "You're not my real dad," the second it's convenient. A few months before the dinner, Alicia had pulled me aside at a family barbecue. "You're his stepdad, not his dad. There's a difference." 2 weeks before the dinner, David asked for $200. I asked what for. Alicia stepped in. "Don't start. Just give it to him." I'd opened the college fund 8 months before we got married. Large performance bonus at the firm. $46,000 after taxes. Kept it separate. Put in $700 a month for over 12 years from that segregated account. Kept feeding it with separate bonuses over the years. Those bonuses hit my individual account, stayed separate, and every transfer came from there. Never our joint funds. $92,000 total in my name only. Also co-signed his car loan 2 years ago. Mazda sedan. $21,000 financed. Monthly payment $395. I'd been making every payment. When I first co-signed, David thanked me. Said he'd chip in once he got a job. Never happened. When I brought it up, he'd shrug. "You make way more than I ever could anyway." The PNC branch on York Road was open until 6. Got there at 5:22. The banker pulled up my accounts. Which account? Education savings. Transfer everything into my primary checking. That's $92,143. You sure? Positive. She clicked through confirmations. 4 minutes later, it was done. I pulled out my phone. $92,143 in my checking account. 12 years of planning for a kid who just told a room full of people to just keep paying. Sat in my car for a minute, engine running, hands on the wheel, phone buzzing constantly, texts coming in. Alicia, her sister, Diane. I didn't look at any of them. I drove to my lawyer's office. Martin's office was near Mount Vernon. Small firm, specialized in family law. I'd used him when we bought our house. Good lawyer. Got there at 5:58, knocked hard. He came to the door holding a coffee mug. Need to file for divorce. Tonight if possible. He blinked. Tonight's Saturday. Monday morning then. But I need paperwork started now. He unlocked the door. Come in. We sat in his office. What happened? I told him. The dinner, the comment, Alicia backing him up. The college fund, the car loan. Everything came out. Martin listened, wrote everything down. Okay, let's go through assets. House first, 3-bedroom in Lutherville. Bought 5 years ago for $460,000. I'd contributed most of the down payment. Monthly mortgage $2,800. I'd been paying the majority. 5 years of bank records proved it. I made $138,000. Alicia made $74,000. We split bills 70-30. What about the kid? Martin asked. David's 18. Legal adult. No child support. College fund? In my name only. Opened 8 months before marriage. Funded entirely by me. I have over 12 years of automatic withdrawal records. She'll fight that. Let her. And the car? Co-signed loan. Both our names. He's never made a payment. I've covered all 24 months. $21,000 balance remaining. That's a problem. Joint obligation means you're stuck with it until it's paid off or refinanced. I know. Martin typed on his computer. Clicked through forms. You know this is going to get ugly. It already is. I mean, legally. Financially. She's going to fight you on everything. Then we fight. He looked at me for a long moment. You're sure? Completely. He printed the petition. Maryland no-fault divorce, irreconcilable differences. 23 pages. I signed every form. He signed as counsel. Filed it electronically at 6:47 p.m. She'll be served Monday afternoon. Good. I left. Drove to the Marriott near the Inner Harbor. Checked in, went upstairs, sat on the bed. My phone started buzzing at 7:53. Alicia. Declined. She called again. Declined. Then David. Then Alicia's mother. 17 calls in an hour. I turned off my phone at 9. Sunday morning I went back to the house. Alicia's car was gone. David's Mazda was in the driveway. House was quiet. David was probably asleep. I packed. Clothes, laptop, documents, photos from before Alicia. My tools, my golf clubs. Everything mine. 4 trips to the car. Each time, the house felt less like home. The envelope with the plane tickets was still on the kitchen counter, right where I'd left it yesterday. Unopened. I picked it up. Thought about taking it back, getting a refund. Airlines usually gave you 24 hours. Then I set it back down, left it there, locked the door, drove back to the hotel, turned on my phone at 10:48, 83 missed calls, 41 voicemails. I listened to 3. Where's the money? David needs it. This is theft. That money was mine. This is illegal. How dare you abandon that boy after everything? Pathetic. I deleted all 41. Martin called at 2:18 p.m. Your wife's attorney just called. Rebecca Klein. She's with Morrison and Beck. They're aggressive. Okay. She's demanding immediate return of the college fund, claiming it's marital property and an explicit gift to David. It's in my name. Opened 8 months before marriage. Funded from separate premarital savings I kept segregated throughout the marriage. They're also demanding you continue car payments during separation. Joint obligation. If he stops making payments, it goes to collections and hits both our credit scores. They're going to paint you as vindictive. I'm withdrawing voluntary support after being explicitly told I'm not family. That's reality. I hung up. Opened my email. Started typing. Subject, car loan. Action required. David. The Mazda is financed under a joint loan in both our names. I've been making all 24 payments so far. Going forward, you have 3 options. 1. Refinance the loan in your name only. $21,000 balance remaining. 2. Sell the car and pay off the loan. 3. Make the monthly payments yourself. $395, due on the 15th. If no action is taken and payments are missed, the loan goes to collections, damaging both our credit scores. Choose one option by Friday. I sent it. Forwarded it to Martin. Then I blocked Alicia and David's numbers. 2 hours later, Martin called again. You're not going to believe this. What? David posted a video. What video? From last night. At the dinner. Someone recorded it with their phone. It's on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. They're saying it's gone viral across platforms. Over 50,000 views already. My stomach dropped. What's in it? You handing him the envelope. Him saying you're not his real dad. The whole exchange. But here's the thing. It's edited. Cuts off right before your wife says anything. Makes it look like you caused a scene and stormed out over nothing. Are you serious? Dead serious. Comments are brutal. People calling you controlling, insecure, fragile. Someone tagged your firm's official account. I pulled up Instagram on my phone, found David's profile. The video was right there, 43 seconds long. Just me handing him the envelope, him saying I'm not his real dad, me setting it down and walking out. No context, no audio of Alicia backing him up, no audio of him telling me to just keep paying. Caption: when your stepdad makes your college acceptance dinner about himself? Comments were vicious. Imagine being this insecure. Guy can't handle a teenager's boundaries, so he throws a tantrum at the kid's own party. Step-parents who do this are the worst. 732 comments. Shares multiplying every time I refreshed. Someone had made it a meme already. Another account did a reaction video with exaggerated shock faces. The algorithm was eating it up. This upload on Instagram was climbing fast. I watched it go from 16,000 to 18,000 while I stared at the screen. Refreshed again. 20,000. 22,000. People were discovering it in real time. My firm's account was tagged in 18 replies. People calling for me to be fired, saying I was unstable, saying someone like me shouldn't work with clients. You still there? Martin asked. Yeah. Don't respond. Don't engage. Let it die down. Anything you say will make it worse. People think I'm some controlling psycho who couldn't handle a kid setting boundaries. I know. But responding proves their point. Stay quiet. Let your lawyer do the talking. I hung up, sat there staring at my phone. Someone knocked on my hotel door at 4:30 p.m. I looked through the peephole. Tom. My buddy from the firm. Senior partner, known him 8 years. Good guy. We'd grab lunch every couple weeks. Talked about work, life, sports. I opened the door. Hey man, he said. Didn't smile. Can I come in? Yeah. He sat in the chair by the window. I sat on the bed. Could tell he didn't want to be here. This wasn't a social call. Saw the video, he said. It's edited. Doesn't show the whole thing. I know, but it's making the rounds. Clients are asking about it. HR got 3 emails this morning. One from a client's wife demanding we remove you from their account. My chest tightened. What are you saying? I'm saying take some time off. Paid leave. Let this blow over. Come back in 2 weeks when people have moved on. You're benching me because my stepson posted an edited video. I'm protecting you. And the firm. This kind of attention is bad for business. You know that. He wasn't wrong. I did know that. Still felt like getting punched in the throat. Fine, I said. Good. Take care of yourself. Let me know if you need anything. He left. I sat there in that hotel room until the sun went down. My phone buzzed. Email from David. I opened it. Subject: you owe me this. The tuition enrollment confirmation deposit for University of Maryland is due this Friday. $400. Deadline is May 8th. If it's not paid, I lose my spot. First tuition bill installment is due May 15th. Another $4,800. Orientation fee is $300. Due June 1st. If you don't pay these, I lose everything. My acceptance. My housing. My whole future. So do the right thing. This isn't about us. This is about my education. You can't punish me for setting boundaries. Stop being selfish and think about someone other than yourself for once. David. I stared at the email for a full minute. Then I forwarded it to Martin with one sentence. Evidence of ongoing financial coercion. Typed one sentence back to David. Not your father, not your bill. Blocked the email address. Thought about 12 years of showing up for every single thing. Soccer games, school plays, doctor appointments, homework help, birthday parties, holidays, vacations. 12 years of being there when his real father wasn't. 12 years summed up in 43 edited seconds and a demand for $400 by Friday. Monday morning, email from the bank. Subject line, loan payment. Past due, action required. Opened it while sitting on the edge of the hotel bed. Coffee from the lobby in my hand. Still tasted like cardboard, but at least it was hot. The car payment was due on the 15th. Today was the 20th, 5 days late. First missed payment in 2 years. My credit score would take a hit in 30 days if it wasn't resolved. I'd sent the email to David on Sunday. Gave him 3 options. He'd chosen none of them. Hadn't even responded. I called Martin. The car payment's late, I said. You stopped autopay? Sunday night, after I sent the email. Autopay was scheduled to draft on the 20th. I shut it off before it could process. And he hasn't responded? Nope. Which means in 25 days it goes to collections. Both our credit scores tank. Do you want to just pay it and sue for reimbursement later? No. Your credit score is going to take a hit too. I know. But mine can recover. I have 13 years of perfect payment history, 0 debt besides the mortgage, high income. I'll be fine. Him? He's 18 with no credit history, except this one loan. A collections notice will destroy him for years. Maybe he'll learn something from it. You're playing hardball. I'm not playing at all. I'm done. Silence on the other end. Then, okay, your call. Alicia was served at noon. Process server went to her office. Martin called to confirm. Her lawyer wants mediation. No. Rebecca filed an emergency motion that afternoon, requesting the court freeze my bank accounts, claiming I'd hidden marital funds. Martin called. Did you see the motion? Just got the email. They're arguing the fund is marital property. They want it frozen. It's in my name. Opened before marriage. Funded from separate premarital savings I kept segregated. They'll argue verbal promise and intent. Let them. I have documentation. It's separate property. You're risking everything. Or I could win. He was quiet. Okay. Emergency hearing is Wednesday. Can you be there? Absolutely. Wednesday morning. Emergency hearing. Baltimore County Circuit Court. Judge Mendez presiding. Small courtroom. Just us, the lawyers, a bailiff, and a court reporter. Rebecca went first. Stood up. All business. Expensive suit. Your Honor, this is financial manipulation and retaliation. Mr. Hayes withdrew $92,000 from what was clearly intended as a college fund for his stepson, immediately after a minor disagreement at a family dinner. This is vindictive and punitive. Your Honor, Martin stood up. The account in question was opened 8 months prior to marriage, is held solely in my client's name, and was funded exclusively through premarital savings he kept separate throughout the marriage. There is no legal basis to claim it as marital property. But it was intended for the child, Rebecca said. Mrs. Hayes will testify that Mr. Hayes explicitly stated the money was for David's college education. Intent is not the same as completed gift, Martin countered. The account remained in Mr. Hayes' name with no beneficiary designation. He retained full control. It's separate property. Judge Mendez looked at me. Mr. Hayes, did you tell your wife and stepson that this money was for college? I stood. Yes, Your Honor, when I thought I was his father. And what changed? At his college acceptance dinner, in front of 42 witnesses, he told me I'm not his real father and to just keep paying. My wife agreed and told me to respect his boundaries. I was explicitly told I'm not family. I pulled out a folder. Martin had prepared it. Bank statements showing years of systematic transfers from my premarital savings. Slid it across to the judge. All mine, Your Honor. Separate property. Judge Mendez reviewed the documents. Made notes. She flipped through the statements. Year after year of transfers from the same personal account. Looked up at both lawyers. Counselor Rebecca. When was the account opened? 8 months before marriage, Your Honor, but... And the contributions came from what source? Martin stood. A performance bonus Mr. Hayes received before the engagement, Your Honor. Kept in a separate account, never commingled with marital funds. The judge tapped her pen. Reviewed the statements again. I'm inclined to agree this appears to be separate property, but I want to be thorough given the amounts involved. She looked at Alicia. Mrs. Hayes, is it accurate that you told Mr. Hayes he's not your son's father? Alicia stood. She dressed carefully. Modest blouse, minimal makeup, hair pulled back. Your Honor, I was trying to respect my son's emotional boundaries. Did you say those words? Yes or no? Alicia hesitated. Yes, but... And did your son tell Mr. Hayes to just keep paying? He was upset. Yes or no? Yes. The judge made more notes. Looked at Rebecca. Counselor, your motion requests freezing of the college fund pending asset division. But if the account was opened before marriage and funded from separate premarital assets, it's separate property under Maryland law. I'm denying the motion. Rebecca stood. Your Honor, denied. The account remains with Mr. Hayes. Next issue. The jointly held vehicle. Mr. Hayes has stopped making payments on a car loan he co-signed. The judge looked at me. Mr. Hayes, why did you stop making payments? I sent my stepson an email on Sunday outlining 3 options. Refinance in his name, sell the car, or make payments himself. He chose none of them. It's a joint obligation, the judge said. Both parties are equally responsible. Mr. Hayes, did you communicate clearly about the options? Yes, Your Honor. I have the email chain. Then it's on him to choose one. Motion denied. Rebecca looked furious. Your Honor, we also request emergency spousal support. Denied. Mrs. Hayes makes $74,000 annually. She's not in financial distress. We'll revisit support at the final hearing. Anything else? No, Your Honor. Court adjourned. I walked out of that courtroom feeling something I hadn't felt in days. Relief. Martin caught up with me in the hallway. That went better than expected, he said. She saw it. Judge Mendez is good. Fair. Doesn't like games. What happens now? Discovery. Depositions. We're probably looking at 4 to 6 months before trial unless they want to settle. They won't settle. Probably not. But you need to prepare yourself. This is going to get worse before it gets better. He was right. That week, the harassment intensified. The following Monday, the Mazda disappeared from the driveway at the house in Lutherville. Martin called Tuesday. Alicia filed a police report. Says you stole it. I didn't touch the car. David sold it. Some kind of fraudulent transfer. Got $18,000 cash but never paid off the lien. How did he pull that off? David forged a lien release and handed the buyer fake title paperwork. Promised to mail the clean title within a week. The buyer tried to register it 2 weeks later and discovered the lien was still active. That's when the police report came in. That's fraud. It's definitely illegal. The bank's already moving to repossess. They'll auction it and come after both of you for the deficiency. Do it. By the time the bank caught up, it was already weeks later. They recovered the car from whoever bought it, auctioned it off at a loss, got $14,000, sent both David and me a bill for the remaining $7,000 plus fees. Total, $9,200. My credit score dropped 73 points. I paid the $9,000. Didn't have a choice. Wednesday morning, Martin called. Have you seen David's Instagram? Not since last week. Check it. Now. I pulled it up. New post from 2 hours ago. Photo of the Mazda with the keys sitting on the hood. Caption. When your stepdad tries to steal your car because you hurt his feelings. The comments were worse than before. This dude is unhinged. Imagine being this petty to an 18-year-old. Someone check on this kid's safety. 1,500 comments. 23,000 likes. He's making me look like a psycho, I said. I know, but you can't respond. It'll make it worse. Martin, people think I'm trying to steal his car. I gave him options. He's the one who stopped making payments, then committed fraud. The court will understand that. The internet won't. Stay offline. Focus on discovery. But the full story was still out there somewhere. Martin told me David's lacrosse friend who filmed the dinner refused to share the uncut version, protecting David. The edited version was the only thing spreading. That afternoon, my phone rang. Number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer. Hello? Hey, it's Kyle. I heard what happened. Saw the videos online. That was messed up, man. I didn't say anything. Look, I know I haven't been around. Should have been. You stepped up. Did everything I didn't do. Where are you going with this? I'm going to help David with college. I'm in a better place financially now. I can cover tuition. Something in his voice felt rehearsed. When did you start talking to David again? Pause. About 6 months ago. My hands clenched. 6 months. Yeah, he reached out to me. And you told him what exactly? Just that I wanted to be there for him going forward. Be a better father than I was when he was little. Did you tell him to set boundaries with me? Silence. Long enough that I knew the answer. Did you tell him to say I'm not his real dad? I might have mentioned that he doesn't owe you anything just because you married his mom. That it's okay to have boundaries around the dad thing. How much are you actually planning to contribute? Give me a number. Well, I was thinking we could split the costs. You know, like co-parent the expenses going forward. So nothing. You're contributing nothing. I can't afford the whole thing by myself, man. I've got my other kids, child support payments, the mortgage in Phoenix. Money's tight, but I can help with some of it. Don't call me talking about stepping up when you're doing exactly what you always do. Disappearing when it costs you something real. I hung up, sat there shaking. 6 months of coaching, 6 months of manipulation, and I hadn't known any of it. Something changed that week. Someone sent Martin a screenshot. Text chain between David and Kyle. The angle was wrong, like someone had photographed it over David's shoulder. Alicia's sister Jennifer, apparently. She'd found it on David's laptop when she was helping him move. Had an attack of conscience. Kyle, just be clear with him. You have a real dad. You don't owe him anything. David, should I say it at the dinner? Kyle, perfect timing. Lots of witnesses. He'll look bad if he reacts. Just say you appreciate what he's done, but you need boundaries, and that he should keep supporting you financially, because that's separate from the relationship stuff. David, word for word like that? Kyle, your words, but yeah. Make it clear. He's not your dad, but he should keep paying. I'll cover college once you're free of him. Promise. David, thanks, Dad. This means a lot. The timestamp. 6 days before the dinner. Where did you get this? I asked Martin. Jennifer sent it. Apparently felt guilty. This is proof. This is evidence Kyle coached him. Premeditated the entire thing. Promised college money he never intended to pay. Can we use this? In court? Absolutely. This shows coordination and intent to exploit you financially. I sat there staring at the screenshot. 6 days before the dinner. They'd planned the whole thing. Discovery, depositions, document requests, 3 months of legal warfare. Martin billed me $34,000. I had to take a loan. My credit score hit 612. Couldn't finance anything. Couldn't rent a decent place. Burned through my savings. The $92,000 from the college fund kept me alive, but it was draining fast. Job market was brutal. First interview. The hiring manager's assistant pulled up my name on her phone during the interview. Saw the video. Interview ended 20 minutes early. Second interview, they told me they'd gone with another candidate before I even left the building. Two companies rescinded offers after background checks, citing concerns about judgment and brand representation. I was running out of money and options. September rent was due. October after that. Lawyer bills piling up. Living on what was left of the college fund and watching it drain faster than I'd planned. But I showed up for trial. September 18th, Baltimore County Circuit Court. Judge Mendez presiding. Walked in at 8:45 a.m. Courtroom smelled like old wood and floor polish, high ceilings, windows along one wall letting in morning light. Felt like every legal drama you've ever seen, except this one was real, and it was my life. Rebecca went first. Spent 2 hours painting me as controlling and manipulative. Said I'd used money as a weapon, that I couldn't handle losing control, that I'd punished an innocent teenager for having healthy boundaries. Made me sound like a monster. Then Alicia testified, cried on the stand, real tears. Not the kind you can fake. He changed after David hit puberty. More controlling. Always needing credit. Needing acknowledgement. Always reminding us how much he did. How much he paid for. Made everything feel like a transaction. Did he ever threaten you financially? All the time. He'd remind me how much he paid for things. The mortgage. The car. David's expenses. Made me feel like I owed him. Like we were in debt to him just for existing. Lies. Every word. But she sold it well. And at David's acceptance dinner? David was just trying to set a healthy boundary, trying to establish his own identity, separate from the man who raised him. And Cameron couldn't handle it. He walked out, humiliated my son in front of everyone, then took everything. The money, filed for divorce, all because a teenager hurt his ego. She looked right at me when she said it. Eyes red, face composed. Performance of a lifetime. Then David testified. He was always nice when I was little, but as I got older, he got weird about stuff. Always needing me to call him dad. Always needing me to thank him. And at your dinner? I just wanted to set a boundary. I appreciated his help, but he wasn't my dad. And he completely lost it. Martin cross-examined. You testified that he needed you to call him dad. But didn't you ask if you could call him dad when you were 10? David shifted in his seat, looked at his mother. I was 10. I didn't understand. And at your dinner, you told him to just keep paying, correct? I was upset. That's not what I asked. Did you tell Mr. Hayes to just keep paying? Yes. While also telling him he's not your father? I was setting a boundary. By telling him he's not your father, but should continue paying for you financially? I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it? Silence. Let me rephrase. You told a man who'd supported you for 12 years to just keep paying while simultaneously telling him he's not your father, correct? Yes, but I was setting a boundary. Martin pulled out a document. Your Honor, Defense Exhibit 12. Text messages between the witness and his biological father, Kyle, 6 days before the dinner. He read them aloud. Every word. Kyle coaching David. The exact phrasing. The promise of college money that never came. David went pale. Alicia sat up straighter in her seat. Did your biological father coach you to reject Mr. Hayes publicly? We were just talking about stuff. Did he tell you to say those exact words at the dinner? He suggested, did he promise to pay for your college if you cut off Mr. Hayes? Silence. Answer the question. He said he'd help. Did he pay for your college? No, but no further questions. Martin put me on the stand after lunch. I testified for 30 minutes. Financial contributions, documentation. The systematic separation of funds. At David's dinner, what exactly did he say? He told me I'm not his real dad and to just keep paying. And your wife? She told me to respect his boundaries. Said I'm her husband, not his father. Why did you withdraw the college fund? Because I'm not his father. They made that clear. So I stopped funding someone who explicitly told me I'm not family. Rebecca cross-examined. Mr. Hayes, you're keeping the entire college fund. It's my money, in my name, funded by me. But it was intended for David, when I thought I was his father. You're punishing a teenager for setting boundaries. I looked right at her. I'm protecting myself from people who valued me for my utility, not my place in the family. Silence. Judge Mendez wrote something down. Rebecca tried again. You withdrew $92,000 the same day as the incident. I withdrew my own money after being told I'm not family. That seems calculated. It was. I was told I'm not his father. So I stopped funding someone who isn't my son. That's not punishment. That's reality. Martin did redirect. Showed the payment history. The systematic exclusion from decisions while still expected to pay. The text messages proving coordination. Judge Mendez called recess. Said she'd issue a ruling within 30 days. We left the courthouse. How do you think it went? I asked Martin. The text messages helped, showed premeditation. We've got a shot. If I lose, then you lose. But you fought. The ruling came October 9th. Martin called at 10 a.m. You won. College fund is separate property. You keep it. House equity split 65-35 in your favor. No alimony. Clean break. I won. Judge saw through their narrative, called David's conduct entitled and manipulative, said Alicia was complicit. You're keeping the money. What about the car fraud? Civil court ruled separately. David owes you $9,200, plus legal fees. Total, $14,000. Will I actually see that money? Probably not. He has no assets. So I spent $34,000 in legal fees to win a judgment I'll never collect. You won the principal. I hung up. Looked at my bank account. $43,000 left from the college fund. Another $28,000 from house equity coming eventually. $71,000 total. I'd started with $92,000 in savings and a six-figure job. I was ending with $71,000 in assets, no job, and bad credit. But I'd won. Sort of. My phone rang an hour later. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Figured it was another reporter or someone from Alicia's family. Hello? Is this Cameron Hayes? Yeah. This is Brian Moss from Meridian Financial Group. We're expanding our Baltimore office. Your name came up in our search for senior analysts. One of our recruiters saw the full video that's been circulating, the unedited one. Would you be interested in discussing an opportunity? I sat up. Yes, absolutely. Great. Can you come in Thursday for a preliminary conversation? I'll be there. We talked for another 5 minutes. He'd seen the full dinner video that Jennifer had leaked after she sent Martin the text screenshots. She'd posted it anonymously to correct the record. Showed Alicia backing David up. Showed the real context. The recruiter had sent it to Brian. Didn't change his interest. Needed someone with my experience and client relationships. Said my reputation in the industry spoke for itself. I hung up feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Forward momentum. 3 weeks later, I was at Whole Foods, Tuesday afternoon. Turned down the produce aisle and saw them. Alicia and David, loading vegetables into a cart. They saw me. David looked at his phone. Alicia's face went hard. I walked up to them. Hey, Alicia said. Defensive. Hey. David didn't look up. Congratulations on the ruling, she said. Thanks. Silence. You took everything from him. He's at community college now, working at Target. You destroyed his future. I took what was mine. He destroyed his own future when he told me to keep paying while cutting me out. He's a kid. He's an adult, old enough to commit fraud, old enough to face consequences. David looked up. You really can't let this go? Let what go? The 12 years? The public humiliation? The fraud? Which part? I set one boundary and you nuked everything. You didn't set a boundary. You tried to demote me while keeping my benefits. That's exploitation. Whatever, man. Enjoy your money. He walked away. Alicia looked at me. Was it worth it? Yeah. Why? Because you don't get to strip me of family status and demand I keep family obligations. She started to walk away. Alicia. She stopped. Kyle called me. Told me he'd been coaching David for 6 months, promising college money he never paid. Did you know? She didn't answer. You knew. You went along with it because you wanted me gone. That's not... I have the texts. The judge saw them. Her eyes filled. You were supposed to do it because you loved us. I did love you. For 12 years. But love goes both ways. You can't demand sacrifice while denying respect. He's going to struggle because of you. He's going to struggle because of his own choices. He threw it away to be cruel for less than a minute. That's on him. I walked past her. Checked out. Went home. Sat in my new apartment that night. 1 bedroom in Canton. Fresh start. Job lined up. Brian Moss had called. They wanted me. Starting in 2 weeks. $85,000 to start. Not what I'd made before, but it was forward momentum. Credit score already back up to 647. Getting better every month. $71,000 in assets. New job. New apartment. Life rebuilding itself piece by piece. I'd paid a real price. Lost job. Lost credit. Lost 9 months and $34,000 in legal fees. But I'd won something too. Self-respect. They'd tried to keep me as a wallet while stripping me of family status. When I refused, they tried everything to break me. Edited videos. Legal warfare. Family ambushes. Harassment. None of it worked because I'd learned something. Something I wish I'd figured out sooner. You're either valued as a person or you're not. And if you're not, the only move is to walk away and let them feel the weight of what they took for granted. David wanted his real father. He got him. Kyle didn't pay, didn't help, didn't show up. Alicia wanted to respect her son's feelings. She got to watch him struggle through community college while working retail. Me? I got my self-respect back. Got a second chance. Got to rebuild on my own terms. Was it worth it? Every single penny. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true. My wife's father shook my hand at dinner and said, "Thanks for keeping my daughter stable. Now someone worthy can take over." He pointed at my golden brother as both families clapped. I stood, set my phone on the table, and said 3 words that made them go pale. "Hey Reddit, throwaway account. Name's changed. Posting this now because the divorce is finalized and I'm finally ready to talk about it." My wife asked me to sign a financial disclosure form a couple of weeks before the dinner. Said her father needed it for estate planning purposes. Wanted to consolidate family assets for tax optimization. Standard rich people nonsense. Later I realized it wasn't estate planning at all. They were sizing me up before the breakup, trying to figure out what I had so they could plan accordingly. Funny thing was, we'd signed a prenup before we got married. Her family had insisted on it, wanted to protect their inheritance from me. Make sure if we divorced, I couldn't touch Hartford family money. I'd agreed immediately, had my own attorney review it, made sure it protected my premarital assets too. Everything I'd built before the wedding stayed mine. Kenneth's lawyer had been so focused on protecting their side, he'd accidentally built me a fortress. I'm Julian, 35, been married to Cecilia for 8 years. Aviation Safety Director at Northeast Regional Authority. I make good money, manage compliance and incident investigation across 6 states. Real job, real responsibility. People's lives depend on the work I do. But to Cecilia's family, I was the guy who wore Carhartt jackets and drove a 11-year-old Subaru Outback, the guy who lived in a regular townhouse in Westchester instead of some mansion in Greenwich. The safe choice, the temporary solution. I didn't sign the form. Told Cecilia we'd discuss it later. She got tense. Said her father was expecting it by Friday. I said her father could wait. She dropped it, but I could tell something was wrong. She'd been distant for weeks, texting constantly, going to her parents' house alone on weekends. 2 weeks before the dinner, my sister-in-law Melissa called me. We'd always gotten along. She was the reasonable one in the family. 28, worked in advertising, actually earned her own money instead of living off daddy's accounts. "Julian," she said. Her voice was shaking. "I need to tell you something." "What's up?" "There's a dinner planned. April 16th. Cecilia's father is hosting it. The whole family will be there." "Okay, and?" "Your family too. Your parents. Your brother." I went quiet. My brother Stephen. The golden child. The one who could do no wrong. The one my parents had spent 35 years protecting, enabling, and prioritizing over me. We hadn't spoken in 2 years. Not since I'd refused to loan him $40,000 to cover his gambling debts. Why would Stephen be there? Melissa was crying now. "Because they're planning to announce that Cecilia is leaving you, for Stephen. Your parents and her parents arranged it. They've been planning this for months." I sat there in my office, looking out at the tarmac, watching planes take off and land. Precision, protocol, safety checks. Everything I dealt with every day required systems and verification. I'd married into a family that treated relationships like corporate mergers. "Tell me everything," I said. She talked for 40 minutes. Told me about the group chats, the planning, the coordination between both families, how they'd been setting this up since February, how everyone knew except me. "Julian, I have screenshots," she said, "of the chats, the messages, everything. I'll send them to you. I can't be part of this anymore. It's wrong. Send them." She did. Within 10 minutes, my phone was lighting up with forwarded messages. Group chat called Family Dinner, created February 19th, Cecilia, Stephen, Kenneth, Diana, and my parents. I didn't just accept it. That's not how my brain works. Aviation safety teaches you to verify everything, cross-check, confirm, never assume. I zoomed in on every screenshot, checked the dates against my calendar, matched the timeline to when Cecilia had started acting distant, when my parents had stopped calling, when Stephen had suddenly become unavailable every time I tried reaching out about family stuff. The writing quirks sold it. My father's formal punctuation, always a period after every sentence. Never used contractions in text. My mother's habit of signing off every message with a dash and her first initial. Stephen calling Cecilia Leah, which was his nickname for her since they were teenagers. Little details you can't fake. One message from my mother made my stomach drop. She'd written, "Julian has always been the understanding one. He won't make waves. That's just who he is. The understanding one. Code for the one who always folded. The one who kept the peace. The one who swallowed his pride so everyone else could be comfortable." I felt cold, like the office temperature had dropped 20 degrees. My hands were steady, but my chest felt tight. I called Melissa back. "How did you get these?" Cecilia showed me, she said quietly. She was venting. Said she needed someone to talk to about the logistics. She forwarded me into the group chat temporarily, so I could help coordinate some of the planning. Then she removed me. But I'd already saved everything. Why are you telling me this? Because this is wrong. This is so wrong. And you've been good to my sister. Better than she deserves. I read through everything. Every message. Every plan. Every calculation about how to position this. How to make it look mutual. How to minimize my ability to push back. The charity gala happened the week before the dinner. Pediatric cancer research benefit at the Waldorf. Black tie. I'd donated $35,000. Cecilia knew about it. She'd been thrilled about the attention it would bring. The recognition. The social currency. We walked in together, but within 10 minutes, she drifted toward her parents. They were at a table with Stephen, my brother. My parents sitting right there with them. All of them laughing, posing for photos. I walked over. Cecilia's father, Kenneth, saw me coming. 61, corporate banking executive, the kind of guy who measured success in club memberships and vacation home locations. Julian, he said, shook my hand too hard. We were just taking some family photos. I'm family. Of course. Of course. He gestured vaguely. But we wanted some shots of just the core group. You understand? No, I don't. My own mother, Caroline, stepped in. 58, former socialite, spent her whole life chasing status through her sons. Except only one son counted. Julian, don't make a scene. These photos are for the foundation newsletter. They want established families. Stephen just made senior analyst at Whitmore Capital. It's better optics. Better optics. My wife was posing next to my brother, while our parents smiled and acted like I wasn't standing right there. Stephen looked at me, smirked, 32 years old, 6 feet tall. Designer suit, the confidence of someone who'd never faced real consequences for anything. Hey, Jules. Good to see you. Cecilia was just telling me about your trip to Vermont last month. Sounds nice. He called me Jules. Knew I hated it. Did it anyway because he knew no one would call him on it. I left, went to the bar, ordered a drink, watched them from across the room. Watched Cecilia laugh at something Stephen said. Watched Kenneth pat Stephen's shoulder. Watched my own father, Gerald, 63, retired attorney, nod along to whatever story Stephen was telling. Melissa found me 20 minutes later. I'm sorry, she said. For what? For all of it. I didn't know about the photos until tonight. Mom planned it with your parents last week. Great! Julian, you need to prepare yourself. The dinner is in 6 days. They're going to do it publicly. They want witnesses. They want it to feel official. Why are you telling me this? Because you've been good to my sister. You've been good to our family. And this is wrong. This is so wrong. I finished my drink. Watched Cecilia pose for another photo. She was glowing, happy, more animated than I'd seen her in months. She wants this, I said. Melissa looked at her shoes. Yeah, she does. The next day I was in my home office when I heard voices from the bedroom. Cecilia's door was closed, but the walls were thin. She was on the phone. No, Mom, I'll say exactly what we rehearsed. I want what's best for my future. That's the line. It sounds mature. It sounds like I'm making a rational decision. Silence while she listened. Of course, I'm sure. Stephen is going places. He's got the Whitmore position. He's got the connections. He's got the family name everyone respects. Julian is stable, but stability isn't a future. Stability is just maintenance. More silence. I know. I know it's been 8 years. But that's exactly why we need to do this now before more time passes. Before I'm 40 and stuck in Westchester in a townhouse talking about aviation regulations at dinner parties. I can't go back to being the one everyone pities. I stood there in the hallway, recording every word on my phone, voice memo app, time-stamped, April 10th, 2:15 p.m. She kept talking. Stephen understands what I need. We've been talking for months. He gets it. He gets that marriage is about building something impressive, something people notice. Julian is good at his job, but nobody cares about aviation safety. Nobody asks about it at parties. Nobody respects it the way they respect finance. I saved the recording, backed it up to 3 different cloud accounts, sent a copy to my personal attorney, Rebecca Santos, partner at Dalton & Associates, 15 years experience in family law. I'd kept her on retainer since the gala. Had a feeling I'd need her. Rebecca called me an hour later. Julian, this is damaging. Combined with what your sister-in-law sent you, you have serious documentation here. Yeah, I understand. If they go through with this dinner the way she described, you need to document everything. Record it if possible. Then we respond appropriately. Good. Do you want my advice? Always. Let them do it. Let them perform their ceremony. Then we handle it properly. The dinner was at the boathouse in Central Park. Private dining room overlooking the water. Kenneth had reserved it for a dozen people. Both families, a few close relatives, everyone who mattered in their immediate circles. I showed up in my usual clothes, jeans, button-down shirt. Cecilia had asked me to wear a suit. I'd said no. She didn't push it. Probably thought it didn't matter what I wore. Walked into the dining room and the whole setup felt staged. Long table, name cards. Stephen sitting across from Kenneth. My parents next to Cecilia's parents. Everyone else arranged like an audience. My name card was at the far end, furthest from the center. I sat down. Didn't say anything. The table was doing that forced conversation thing where everyone talks at you, but nobody's actually listening. Cecilia's aunt asked about my work. So, Julian, you still doing that airport thing? Aviation safety? Yeah? Oh, that's nice. She'd already turned to someone else before I finished the sentence. Stephen leaned across the table. Big smile. Too friendly. Jules, glad you could make it. We should catch up more often. You know, family. Sure. Family. Kenneth kept checking his watch. Diana kept smoothing the tablecloth. Cecilia was glued to her phone. Typing. Deleting. Typing again. She wouldn't look at me. Kept her eyes on the screen like it was the most important thing in the world. My father tried asking about my car. Still driving that Subaru? Yeah. He nodded. Said nothing else. Just nodded and went back to his bread. The whole room felt like a loaded gun. Everyone waiting for something. The small talk was just filler. Just noise to pass the time until whatever was supposed to happen actually happened. I pulled out my phone. Opened voice recorder. Set it on the table. Red light recording. Kenneth stood up. Tapped his wine glass. Everyone went quiet. Thank you all for coming tonight. This dinner is about family, about legacy, about making difficult decisions with grace and maturity. He looked right at me. Julian, you've been part of this family for 8 years. You've been a stable presence in Cecilia's life, a placeholder during a transitional period while she figured out what she really needed. But Cecilia deserves more than stability, he continued. She deserves partnership with someone who shares her vision, her values, her understanding of what family means. My father, Gerald, nodded. Actually nodded along like he was at a board meeting. Kenneth continued. Stephen has proven himself. Senior analyst at Whitmore Capital. Managing significant portfolios. Building something meaningful. Building something that will last. Everyone clapped. Actual applause. My own mother started it. I sat there with my hands folded. Let the applause die down. Stephen stood up. Gave a little speech about how he'd always cared about Cecilia. How he'd watched from a distance for years. How he'd finally reached a point in his career where he could offer her the life she deserved. Cecilia was crying. Happy tears. Dabbing at her eyes with her napkin. I sat there watching my marriage dissolve in front of a dozen witnesses who seemed thrilled about it. Kenneth sat down, smoothed his tie. It's an overdue conversation, Julian. You're a nice guy. Really. We all like you, but nice doesn't pay for private schools. Nice doesn't buy vacation homes. Nice doesn't secure a future. We've been married 8 years, I said. And you've been struggling for 8 years. Kenneth's voice was gentle now, pitying. Still renting that townhouse in Westchester. Still driving that 11-year-old Subaru. Still working at what is it? Aviation something? Aviation Safety Director. Northeast Regional Authority. Right. He said it like it was janitor. Look, Julian, we appreciate what you've done. You stepped up when Stephen wasn't ready. You gave Cecilia stability when she needed it. But now it's time for her to have more than just stability. Stephen leaned forward. No offense, man, but Cecilia and I have history. Real chemistry. We grew up together. We understand each other. Kenneth looked at me. Julian, we've prepared separation paperwork. Clean, fair. Cecilia keeps her personal assets. You keep yours. We'll cover the legal fees. Make this as painless as possible. We think it's best if you move out by the end of the month, he added. Give Cecilia space to process this transition. My mother spoke up. We've already talked to Stephen about this, Julian. He's been very mature about the situation. Very understanding. We think this is what's best for everyone. Very understanding. My brother was taking my wife, and my mother thought he deserved praise for handling it maturely. Cecilia finally looked at me. Julian, I want you to know this isn't about you failing. You didn't fail. You were exactly what I needed 8 years ago. But I need something different now. What do you need? Someone impressive. Someone people respect. Someone who makes me proud when I introduce him. And I don't make you proud. You make me comfortable. That's not the same thing. I stood up. Everyone went tense. Like they'd been waiting for me to explode. To shout. To make a scene they could use against me later. I pulled out my phone. Opened my photos. Turned it toward Kenneth. What is this? He asked. Screenshots. From the group chat. The one Melissa sent me. Created February 19th. His face went white. I scrolled. Started reading messages out loud. February 22nd. Kenneth writes, we need to position this as mutual, as Cecilia outgrowing the relationship naturally. February 27th. Diana writes, Stephen needs to be fully established first. No room for Julian to claim Stephen isn't ready. March 3rd. My father writes, Julian will be upset, but he'll accept it. He always accepts things. He's not a fighter. I kept scrolling. March 10th. Cecilia writes, I've been setting up the financial separation quietly, moving my personal accounts, establishing credit independently. When we announce I want to be able to leave immediately. March 15th. Stephen writes, should I reach out to Julian beforehand or just let it happen at dinner? March 16th. My mother writes, let it happen at dinner. Cleaner that way. Less room for him to negotiate. The room was dead silent. I pulled up another screenshot. Different group chat. This one called Transition Logistics. This one's interesting, I said. Let me read a few highlights. Cecilia writes, if Julian makes this difficult, we say he was controlling, that he isolated me from family. Melissa writes, I don't think we should do that. Cecilia writes, it's not lying. It's reframing. He did prioritize his work. That's a form of control. I looked at Melissa. She was staring at her plate. She'd already apologized to me privately. She'd sent me everything. She wasn't the enemy here. And then there's this one, I said. From Stephen to Cecilia. Dated March 25th. Stephen writes, once this is done, I'm moving into the townhouse with you, right? I can't afford rent and the Whitmore capital position isn't as high paying as I made it sound. The table erupted. Kenneth started shouting. My father stood up. Stephen looked like he'd been hit. I kept going. Cecilia writes back, wait, you lied about the salary? Stephen writes, I exaggerated. Senior analyst sounds better than junior analyst, and the portfolio numbers are team totals, not individual. But it doesn't matter. Your dad said he'd help us financially. That's the whole point. Kenneth's face went purple. I pulled out a folder, set it on the table. Divorce papers, filed this morning. My lawyer has everything documented. Cecilia stood up. How did you get those? Your sister sent them to me. She couldn't stomach what you were planning. I pulled up my banking app, showed them the balance. $1.8 million. Stephen's jaw dropped. I'd been investing quietly for years, and I wasn't remotely broke. Kenneth's face had gone gray. Diana actually gasped. I kept it quiet because Cecilia asked me to. I looked at my wife. Remember 2 years into our marriage? You said your family was judgmental. Said they'd treat me differently if they knew about money. Said it was better if they just thought we were normal middle-class people. I paused. Guess you were right about that. You've been lying to us? Kenneth sputtered. For 8 years? No. You never asked. You assumed. I wore normal clothes, drove a normal car, lived in a normal place. You filled in the rest with your own prejudices. I pulled out another document. Stephen's credit report. I showed them the score. 492. I showed them the debts. Over $100,000. Credit cards. Personal loans. Defaulted car lease. And you thought he was going places, I said to Cecilia. Kenneth tried again. Julian, this doesn't have to be adversarial. You tried to trade my wife to my brother like she was a corporate asset. You involved my parents. You planned this for months. You created group chats to coordinate my humiliation. I picked up my folder. My attorney will contact you. She's very good at these kinds of cases. Looked at Stephen. Stay away from me. If you contact me, show up at my workplace, come near my property, there will be consequences. Stephen started to speak. I cut him off, walked out, didn't look back, got in my Subaru, sat there for 10 minutes with my hands shaking, just breathing, processing what had just happened. Then I drove to the Marriott Marquis in Times Square. Had a suite booked, king bed, room service. My phone started ringing immediately. Cecilia, Kenneth, my parents, Stephen, numbers I didn't recognize. Blocked all of them. Every single number. Blocked their emails. Blocked their social media. Called Rebecca. How'd it go? She asked. Exactly like you said it would. Good. We'll handle everything properly from here. Rebecca filed everything on Monday. The documentation was thorough. All the screenshots Melissa had sent. All the recordings. The timeline of planning. The coordinated effort between both families. It took weeks of back and forth. Court dates got pushed. Rebecca handled most of it while I tried to keep working. Tried being the key word. Work was the same. My performance was fine. But everything else felt off. I stopped sleeping right. Not dramatic, just waking up at 3 a.m. and staring at the ceiling for an hour. Brain running through scenarios. What if they showed up? What if they tried something else? What if I'd missed something in the documentation? Stopped eating breakfast. Coffee was enough. Lunch was whatever I could grab without thinking about it. Lost 8 pounds in 3 weeks without trying. Started locking my hotel room door twice. Checking it before bed. Checking it again an hour later because I couldn't remember if I'd actually locked it or just thought about locking it. Stopped going to my usual places. The coffee shop near the office. The running trail I'd used for 5 years. Anywhere that felt predictable. Anywhere they might know to look. Put my phone on silent. The vibration was making me jumpy. Every buzz felt like another attack. Another message? Another attempt. Rebecca noticed. Asked if I was okay? I said yeah. She didn't believe me, but she didn't push it. My phone was still blowing up from numbers I hadn't blocked yet. They started trying other methods. Cecilia showed up at my workplace on Tuesday. Security called me. There's a woman in the lobby claiming to be your wife. Says it's an emergency. Tell her I'm unavailable. If she returns, call the police for trespassing. She came back Wednesday. Security escorted her out. Told her next time would involve arrest. Thursday morning, I got an email from my boss Garrett, 51, former investigator, no-nonsense guy who'd been running the division for 12 years. Julian, I received a concerning call from someone claiming to be your father-in-law. Suggested you were under extreme stress. Implied you might be unstable. Want to tell me what's going on? I forwarded him everything. The screenshots, the recordings, the timeline, the legal documentation. He called me 10 minutes later. This is legitimately insane. Your own parents were in on this? Front row seats. I'm putting a security flag on your file. If anyone calls about you, I'm referring them to legal. And for what it's worth, your performance reviews are flawless. If you need time off, take it. Otherwise, business as usual. I kept working, stayed focused, didn't let it touch my job performance. Professional separation. One of the first things you learn in aviation safety. Over the next 2 weeks, they escalated. My parents tried calling my office directly. Kenneth sent emails through business contacts. Cecilia's cousin posted vague accusations on social media. Rebecca sent a cease and desist. Post deleted within hours. Kenneth filed complaints with Federal Aviation Oversight. Claimed I had conflicts of interest. Claimed I was misusing my position. That backfired. The Oversight Board reviewed everything. Interviewed me. Reviewed my documentation. Concluded Kenneth had filed false reports. Referred him for investigation. Rebecca kept me updated. They're panicking. Kenneth's firm is distancing from him. The false report to federal authorities is serious. Saturday morning, Stephen showed up at my hotel. Security called my room. Sir, there's a man here claiming to be your brother. He's insisting he needs to speak with you urgently. Tell him to leave. He's refusing. He's getting agitated. I came down to the lobby. Stephen was there in jeans and a wrinkled shirt. Looked like he hadn't slept. Jules, we need to talk. No, we don't. 5 minutes. Please. You have 2 minutes. Then I'm calling the police. He looked around. The lobby was busy. Weekend crowd. This lawsuit is going to death, Stephen, everyone, he said. Mom and Dad can't afford this. They'll lose everything. Should have thought about that before. I didn't orchestrate anything. I just went along with it. You texted Cecilia for months. You lied about your job. You planned to move into my house. You participated in group chats about how to handle me. That's orchestration. I made mistakes. I admit that. But suing Mom and Dad? They're your parents. They clapped when Kenneth called me a placeholder. They sat at that table and validated every word. They chose you. Again, if you don't drop this, I'll make your life miserable. Is that a threat? It's a promise. I pulled out my phone, started recording. Say that again. He realized what I was doing, lunged for my phone. Hotel security grabbed him before he got close. Sir, you need to leave, one of them said. Stephen was shouting now. You think you're better than me? You think your money makes you better? Security escorted him out. I went back to my room, sent the video to Rebecca. She called immediately. That's harassment. That's a threat. File a police report. Now. I filed it that afternoon. Stephen was served with a restraining order a few days later after the paperwork went through. 500 feet minimum distance. No contact. Violation would result in arrest. That same week, someone leaked my personal information online. Home address, phone number, email. Posted to some forum with vague accusations about corruption. Rebecca got it removed and added cyber harassment to the case. The following week, I got a call from HR Angela, our director, wanted to meet. Julian, I need you to come to my office. We've received some allegations. What kind? I'd prefer to discuss in person. I went to her office. She had a file on her desk. We received communication from someone claiming you've been misusing company resources, accessing confidential files, using your position for personal investigations. I sat down. Show me. She turned the printouts toward me. The email claimed I'd used work systems to pull background checks on family members, violated privacy policies. All lies. I pulled out my phone, showed her my personal account logs. Every search was from my personal laptop, using services I paid for myself, background checks through private companies, phone records through our family account that I owned. I showed her everything, timestamps, payment receipts. Angela reviewed it carefully. This is thorough. I'm director of aviation safety. Documentation is what I do. Who do you think sent this? My father-in-law or my brother? They're trying to damage my credibility. She made notes. I'll forward this to legal. If this is retaliation, it's serious. I'm putting a protection flag on your file. Thank you. By late May, the cracks were showing publicly. Their whole social circle knew about everything. Word spread fast. People got wind of the details. Melissa reached out to apologize privately, said she'd been horrified by everything that happened. She kept me updated occasionally. Kenneth resigned from the club, she texted. Too many people asking questions. Diana stopped going to her charity meetings. Nobody's accepting their invitations anymore. And Cecilia? She's living with them. The townhouse lease ended and she couldn't afford to renew it. She's working full-time now. First job in 8 years. Paralegal. Makes $48,000 a year. And Stephen? Melissa sent a link. Stephen had left Whitmore Capital, now listed as financial consultant, which means unemployed, I replied. Yeah, he got fired. Gambling on company time. Terminated for cause. No severance. He's living with your parents. His credit is too damaged for apartment approval. Settlement offers started coming. Kenneth offered $200,000 initially. Rebecca told him to revise. He revised to $400,000. We declined. Your parents are trying to settle too, Rebecca told me. Offering $150,000, they'd have to mortgage the house. It dragged. Motions, delays, paperwork. But as discovery continued, the offers climbed. Kenneth eventually hit $600,000. My parents stayed at $150,000 with the mortgage requirement. Cecilia offered her BMW and $8,000 cash, all she had. Cecilia was countersuing, claiming I'd stolen marital assets, hidden money, committed fraud. Rebecca laughed when she saw it. This is desperation. She signed a prenup. This'll get dismissed. It got dismissed 3 weeks later. Judge ruled the prenup was valid. I'd disclosed everything required. Cecilia's lack of curiosity about finances during marriage wasn't fraud. Mid-July, Stephen violated the restraining order. I was at my new house in Hudson Valley. Saturday morning, coffee on the back deck, heard a car in the driveway. Stephen getting out of an old Honda, probably borrowed. He walked up to the deck. I pulled out my phone, started recording. You need to leave, I said. You're violating a court order. I just want to talk. You have 30 seconds before I call the police. Julian, please. This is Stevening everyone. Mom and Dad are going to lose their house. Kenneth is broke. Cecilia is miserable. Can't you just let it go? No. We're family. You helped steal my wife. You participated in planning my public humiliation. You lied to make yourself look better. You threatened me. You violated a restraining order. What part of that is family? I called the police. He started backing toward his car, but police arrived a few minutes later. They arrested him on my front lawn, handcuffed him, read him his rights, violation of restraining order, trespassing. He spent the night in county jail, made bail the next morning, court date set for August. My father called, left a voicemail. Julian, it's Dad. I know you don't want to talk, but Stephen is under psychiatric observation. Your mother is beside herself. He's still your brother. I didn't call back. My mother left another voicemail 2 days later. This one angry. I hope you're proud of yourself. Your brother is in the hospital because of you. You've Stevened this family. Over what? Pride? Because your feelings were hurt? You're cruel. I don't even recognize you anymore. I saved the voicemail, sent it to Rebecca. Stephen was convicted in mid-August. Judge ruled the psychiatric hold didn't excuse willful violation of a clear court order. Sentenced to 90 days, plus fines. My mother's voicemail got played in court. Judge noted it demonstrated continued harassment and validated the necessity of the restraining order. Trial was scheduled for early September. But 2 weeks before, everyone started trying to settle seriously. Kenneth's final offer was $600,000. Rebecca advised taking it. That's substantial damages. You're avoiding a trial, avoiding more stress. What about my parents? Still offering $150,000. They'd mortgage the house. And Cecilia? Her car and $8,000. That's all she has. And Stephen? He has nothing. But the judgment follows him forever. Wrecks his credit. Shows up on background checks. I thought about it for 3 days. About whether the money was worth it. About what I actually wanted. Then I accepted. All of it. Kenneth's $600,000. My parents' $150,000. Cecilia's car and $8,000. Stephen's judgment. The settlement was finalized on September 8th. Kenneth paid from retirement accounts. 30 years of savings, gone. My parents took a second mortgage to cover their share. They'd be paying it off for the rest of their lives. Cecilia signed over her BMW. I sold it. Stephen's judgment stood. $100,000 he'd never pay. But it would wreck his credit for another decade. Follow him on background checks. Haunt every financial decision. The divorce from Cecilia was finalized the same day. September 8th, 2024. The prenup held. The marital estate was tiny. Joint checking with $16,000. She got half. She walked away from 8 years with $16,000 total. I kept everything I'd built. I didn't hear from any of them for months. They stopped trying to contact me directly, focused on work. Garrett promoted me to regional director in October. Solid raise, more responsibility, more impact. Focused on the house, renovated the master bathroom, added a home office, built a deck extension, made it mine, started running again, joined a hiking group, made new friends who knew nothing about any of it, started dating in November. Nothing serious, just getting back out there. Remembering what it felt like to meet people without baggage. Met someone at a professional conference in November, Aviation and Infrastructure Symposium. She was presenting on structural engineering, 36, smart, independent, had her own career, own money, own life. We started talking about building codes and safety regulations, ended up talking for 3 hours about everything else. Books, travel, philosophy, life. She didn't care about my car or my clothes or my bank account. Cared about ideas, values, character. We took it slow. No pressure. No expectations except honesty and respect. By December, we were seeing each other regularly. By March, exclusive. By summer, talking about moving in together. I got a wedding invitation in December. Stephen and Cecilia. Engagement celebration. December 20th, the Boathouse. Same restaurant where they'd called me a placeholder. I showed it to Rebecca. She laughed. Are they serious? Apparently. Are you going? No. I'm done with them. Melissa sent me a message 2 days before the event. Julian, I know you have no reason to trust me, but this dinner isn't what they're telling everyone. Kenneth is announcing bankruptcy. He lost everything. Diana is leaving him. She filed for divorce last week. Stephen and Cecilia are pretending to get engaged to save face, to make it look like something good came from all this. But it's a lie. They're broke. They're desperate. I read it 3 times. Didn't respond. Melissa sent another message the day after. Only a few people showed up. Kenneth tried to give a speech about new beginnings. Started crying halfway through. Diana left during appetizers. Stephen got drunk and started arguing with Cecilia about money. Someone recorded it. They're done. I didn't respond. Kept Melissa's number unblocked because she'd been honest with me from the start. She'd sent me the screenshots that saved me, but I didn't need updates anymore. My partner and I got married in April. Small ceremony at City Hall. Just us and 2 witnesses. No family, no drama, no expectations except the ones we set for ourselves. Bought a house together in the Catskills that summer. Both our names on the deed. Joint finances. Equal partnership. She insisted on combining everything. Said marriage was a team sport. She made good money from her engineering firm. Wanted to contribute equally. Wanted to be a partner. We weren't billionaires, but we were comfortable. More importantly, we were happy. Aside from Melissa's occasional updates, my family never reached out again. No more drama. No more attempts. My partner and I built something real. The night they tried to replace me, I chose myself. That choice bought me everything I needed. Edit. A few clarifications because I can already predict the comments. No, I'm not posting screenshots or the audio. Part of the settlement includes confidentiality language, and even without that, the chats include people who weren't driving this. Random relatives who got added and just reacted. I'm not interested in turning this into a doxing festival or giving anyone a reason to claim I'm harassing them. Also, Melissa didn't hack anything. Cecilia looped her into the planning chats while venting and asking for help with logistics, then removed her. Melissa saved what she saw before she got kicked out. That's it. No spy stuff. A lot of people will ask why I didn't confront Cecilia immediately. 2 reasons. First, I needed to verify what I had. Screenshots are easy to dismiss if you don't cross-check dates and context, and I wasn't about to blow up my own life based on something I hadn't confirmed. Second, I wanted to see if anyone would back out once it came time to do this in real life, face-to-face, with actual consequences. Nobody did. If anything, they doubled down. And for the why didn't you just leave quietly crowd, because the plan wasn't leave quietly. The plan was to publicly frame me as a temporary stepping stone and then rewrite the story afterward if I resisted. That's why the rehearsed lines mattered. That's why the group chat mattered. I wasn't going to give them a clean narrative while I got shoved out the door. Last thing, I'm not looking for advice on reconciliation. There isn't going to be reconciliation. I'm not keeping the door open. I'm just posting now because it's over, and I can finally talk about it without worrying that every sentence will end up as an exhibit. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.